Okay. Hi, everyone. I want to thank y'all so much for coming to Ignite the Connection, Pathways to Affordable Housing. Hope everyone can hear me okay. Can y'all hear? Yes. Am I loud enough? Okay, great. All right, I see we have a few people still coming in. All right. So our the Ignite Connection, Pathways to Affordable Housing is hosted by Golden Crescent Regional Planning Commission Aging and Disability Resource Center Specialist, V. Angelique Rodriguez. And I want to thank you all for joining us today. We're going to have a great event. We have quite a few people on that is going to be giving us some information about affordable housing and a few other things that that are new to the Golden Crescent. So right now we have Jolyn Meadows. She's going to be our first presenter. She's with House of Palms. We have Rosa Cruz. She is with the Children's Center. We also have Dr. Mike Etienne from the City of Victoria, and then we have Laura Sainty from the Texas Department of Housing and Community Affairs. So right now, we're going to go ahead and introduce to you Jolyn Meadows. Jolyn, are you with us? You might be on mute, Jolyn. I saw you pulled in just a moment ago, called in. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Go ahead and go to the next presenter. Rosa, are you with us?
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. We can hear you. Okay. All right. So whenever you are ready, take it away.
Yes. 1 second. Let me get to my PowerPoint. Give me 1 minute. Are you able to view my PowerPoint?
Yes, we are.
So does it look clear enough?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, awesome. So let me introduce myself. My name is Rosa Cruz. I'm a case manager with the Children's Center, Inc. And it's a nonprofit organization. I would like to introduce my fellow colleagues, Joe Ferris and Myra Garcia. They're on the screen. And we represent Victoria County. Our center is fairly new. We're still kind of a newborn, but our company has been around since 1878, before any of us were alive. And one of the things that we do offer is that we are a basic center, drop-in center, and we partner with members of for instance, the Victoria Homeless Coalition. We cover Golden Crescent area. And besides the Homeless Coalition, we partner with Chamber of Commerce and that sort of thing. We work with children between the ages of 0 to 17 years of age. Our director, her name is Hilda Tobias. She would sometimes make exceptions. I do have an 18-year-old client that we're actually recently started working with. What we do is, one thing that before I start the presentation, there was a need for us to have a center in Victoria because the Golden Crescent area lies at a crossroads connecting Central America and Mexico's human trafficking corridor to the greater Houston area. So the community is populated by a large Latino population, and unfortunately had adverse conditions that led to a high incidence of runaway homeless youth. And of course, runaway homeless youth, the human trafficking of the youth also increased the incidence of runaway homeless youth. So I just kind of wanted to give you a history about that. So let me go on to the presentation. Give me 1 second. And if you're having difficulties seeing anything, please let me know. So far, you guys can see everything, right? Okay. And let me make sure. So I did mention that we cover a series of counties. In total, it's about 20 of them. and it includes the Victoria, Calhoun, DeWitt, Lavaca, Jackson, Gonzales. Our mission with the Children's Center, Inc. is basically to nurture, rescue, nurture, empower children, youth, families utilizing a quality continuum of care to facilitate independence and quality of life. That's one of the things that we want to improve the lives and outcomes of at-risk children in our community. And that's one of the things that we focus on. Our program is short-term. We do provide short-term emergency shelter. We do not keep the children overnight. We do have food, clothes. If there's a need for medical care, we will transport them wherever they need to go. We will provide crisis intervention, trauma. We focus on trauma-informed care. And if they need to shower, we do have showers here, beds. And we do provide aftercare services. And I will be talking a little bit about what, in addition to all those things that we do have, we promote safe place and host homes. And I'll be talking to that to you all in a minute about that. And so for the host homes, we do offer up to 21 days. And basically what that is a volunteer. Anyone who could be at least 21 years of age can be a host home. It could be individual or a couple. And they do have to go through extensive background screening, 16 hours of training, interviews. Their house has to have homeowners insurance, and there must be a room and bathroom for the youth. And the next slide, I believe, so we just provided some definitions here about youth. Typically defined, the homeless youth is typically defined ages between 12 to 17. And those are usually those without family support, who living on shelters, on the street, that sort of thing, in cars, vacant buildings. And we did mention about I don't know why this slide is not providing, so, okay. Some of the most common reasons that youth would run away from home or end up homeless is family conflict, financial difficulties. The 18-year-old client that I have, he was in foster care. He was actually abandoned by his adopted family, which is very sad. So he's been on the streets since last year. And so we're trying to work with him. And like I said, we don't always take 18 or 19-year-olds, but when they're they're considered kind of street crisis situations, we could take them up to age 21 because we know we do provide snacks and those sort of things. So those are the main reasons why kids would end up homeless. We do, let me see, did I go to the next? Yeah. So I did provide, we are funded by the Family Youth Services Bureau. We are a federal grant. Through the Runaway Homeless Youth Program supports street outreach, like I mentioned, emergency shelter, long-term. We do have what we call transitional living maternity group homes, but it's not in our area. It's more like in other counties. I know in San Antonio and other areas, like I believe it's in Galveston area, but I'll have to double check the information. So one of the things that I like to mention is that we do serve the LGBTQ community, and studies have shown that there is a high incidence of human trafficked youth that are, besides the runaway homeless, we do serve the human trafficked youth, and it's the high incidence of the LGBTQ community are in the human trafficked population, substance abuse. And we do have some that are disabled, and I believe that they can take the pregnant girls as well, like I mentioned, because they do have maternity group homes. So we do try to connect with other agencies. We do a lot of presentations. We visit schools. We visit different organizations as they invite us. And that's how we try to connect and get the word out about who we are, because a lot of people, even though we've been around for over 100 years, a lot of people still don't know about us. So we try to participate in different presentations and attend different meetings and so forth. And so we, like some of the presentations we do Zoom, of course, that's the new thing, virtual, you know, with the COVID. And so that's go to meetings and that sort of thing. And the resources, there's different kinds of resources that we provide, and we try to educate ourselves and learn more about what to look for in these the population that we serve by educating ourselves, attending a lot of meetings. We're currently attending a national runaway youth runaway homeless youth grant meeting. We've been attending this week, and we've been learning a lot of things about human trafficking. And some of the speakers are even survivors of human trafficking. So that's how we're able to serve this population, by know what to look for, try to understand what they've been through, and that sort of thing. So like I mentioned about host homes, it does provide a stable and positive environment to the youth. It's been difficult to find a host home because of COVID. A lot of people are kind of being cautious, you know, bringing a youth into their home, even though it's only for 21 days. It's been a challenge getting a host home. And if you know anyone who would love to become a host home, they do have to go, like I mentioned, they have to go through extensive background screening and fill out a very thorough application. And I can provide Miss Angelique with I can't remember Angelique's last name right now. But I can provide her with a copy of the application, so that if she knows anyone who would definitely be interested in becoming a host home, we always need that. And that's, we are very culturally competent. So it doesn't matter what race, gender, whatever, we would like to help the youth and I'd rather for them to end up in a host home than in a foster care. We want to prevent them getting into foster care, and that's the goal of our program. We don't get involved when they're involved with CPS or foster care, but we can get involved after they leave, you know, the CPS involvement, and we can work with them as long as it's needed. And the host homes are volunteer. So safe place, this is something that's very important, and this is something that we promote. And Safe Place is a national youth outreach and prevention tool that we use. And we go to different businesses, schools, we do presentations. And basically what it means is that there's a sticker, the yellow and black sticker that you can see on the screen, that let's say a youth approaches the business or a school and they see that yellow and black sticker that you see on the screen. They will sometimes they don't know the right words to say, but the business person will ask them, what's going on? Do you need our help? Can I help you? And the child would say, well, I see that there's a sticker that says Safe Place, and that way, that would be the first step for that child to look for help, because that child is in crisis, and it can provide immediate help. And I would rather for this youth to look for help with a person who is considered a safe place. And basically what it means, they sign a form that will consider them to be a safe place. The only requirement to become a safe place is not to have any registered sex offenders employed in that agency, whether it's a school or business. And that's the only requirement to become a safe place. There's no fee. And they have to have that sticker visible in a business location with their address. So that's the only requirement. In a nutshell, that's the only requirement to become a safe place. The very first safe place was the YMCA in Kentucky in 1983. And they were the first ones to see that there was a need. And there's a lot of kids who get lost, who don't know where to look for help. And I would rather for them to look for help in a location that would be reputable than to go and check, you know, with a pimp or someone who could get them in serious situations, worse than they already are in. And so basically these are some of the locations, some of the places that are safe place are Kids Connection, Fancy Nails, Nachos Mexican Restaurant, Top Tattoo, Peplin Hair Salon, Salvation Army, Edna ISD, Jackson County School, Edna School, So those are the ones that are some of our safe places. Calhoun County recently became our safe place. Also, the fire department from Port Lavaca, both of them are safe places. And besides the Salvation Army, and I just learned that I think Bloomington will soon be on board with us. I still haven't heard from Goal yet, but we're working with them. And human trafficking is defined as the illegal exploitation of a person through force, fraud, or coercion. And exploitation is the action of treating someone unfairly in order to benefit from them or the work they do. Unfortunately, a lot of these youth do not know what human trafficking is, and that's why we have to constantly be educating the children at school, teachers, parents, because many of them don't even know what that means, and they think that it's okay to be treated a certain way. And like we were in Corpus not too long ago, and they needed our help. We were giving out flyers because there was a 15-year-old girl that was missing, and that little girl, now she was actually rescued, and we were able to find her because law enforcement was helping us out. So that's why it's so important to get the word out. And if that child would have seen a safe place sticker at the school, maybe that would have prevented her to go missing, because she was actually with some people who were actually trying to traffic her. And so there, like we did mention, that there's always a disconnection from family and friends, and they are also in vulnerable situations and have needs, and many of them don't have any address. And then many of them are likely to be dependent on a trafficker. And we recently found out that the kids who are being trafficked, the new recruiters are the victims themselves, not the pimp. And so many of the girls or boys who've been trafficked, they will go to the school and try to recruit. And that's why it's so important. And also with the social media, make sure that the kids who are, if you know anybody, if you have any young kids of your own, make sure they don't accept friends' requests from people they don't know, because these human traffickers, they've gotten a lot more savvy than you think. From a study done in 2017 by the Covenant House Youth, 1 in 5 homeless youth are human trafficked. And so some of the signs that we to look for are branding tattoos, having possessions way beyond their means, difficulty making eye contact, untreated medical problems, missing school frequently. So those are some of the things. My supervisor who works in Corpus area, she noticed a little girl in Subway that was wearing fishnets, pantyhose, and she couldn't be more than 12 or 13 years old. And so, I mean, she saw the signs right away, and she was with 2 men, but they immediately got inside the car and drove off. And I think she was able to take a picture of the car, but I don't know what happened with that case. So if you see stuff that looks kind of weird like that, those are all signs. If a 12-year-old with 2 men, and then she has all this makeup on her face, I mean, those are all red flags. And so we did mention about partnering with different people like law enforcement, Homeland Security, anyone who can help us, and to help. It's all about helping the youth and try to get them where they need to get the help that they need and educating them. And one of the things that we do, we also put stickers in public bathrooms. There is a project for soaps that has information, and this is actually my colleagues from Corpus. They have a soap project that they will put soaps, I think, in the hotels, and they has the national hotline number there. There's stickers and care packages. So there's different ways of getting the word out, especially if there's a child who's been trafficked, that they can see that hotline number and get the help that they need right away. Thank you so much. This is pretty much the only information I have right now, but I did submit Angelique some flyers with information about us. We are always looking for donations, especially with the holidays coming in. We would like to help out, with, anything that we can help with, toys or anything like that. And we're actually doing different kind of stuff like food drives, clothing drives, and that sort of thing. So if you or anyone want to donate to our organization, please let us know, and you can let Miss Angelique know. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for that, Rosa. That was very informative. I didn't realize there were so many, well, there was safe spaces in Victoria.
Yes,
Uh,
definitely.
do you have a flyer with those locations on it? If not, I can, I mean, with the PowerPoints, you can just send that to me and I'll
Yeah,
keep
I
that
have a
for me.
more updated, I will have to provide you with a more updated list of all the safe places that we have, because we've had new ones added since we did the PowerPoint. So we have a lot more names to add. So I can give you a list of all those who are safe places, if that's okay with you. I can
Oh, yeah,
email those.
absolutely. And I may have missed this because I was getting some messages, but what is the type of referral that you most would be the most that you see, or what would be the best way for someone to make a referral to y'all for a child that needs help?
Calling the hotline number, the 844-763-8861 number. That's the best way to get the word out, to let the person, if you see anything strange, if you see that there's a child that's, doesn't necessarily have to be trafficked, but if you know a child between the ages of 0 to 17 that is runaway or homeless, there's poverty going on, if the parents kick them out and they sleep outside somewhere and they need a lot of help, and you don't see that anybody's doing anything about it, call the hotline number, 24-hour. We will be more than happy. They will get, and then somebody will contact us.
Okay, great. Does anybody
Yes.
have any questions for Rosa right now? And if you don't
Yes,
think,
I do. Hi. So
Hello.
my question was about the level of disability. How is there a level of disability that you just cannot go beyond with kids, as far as like maybe mental health issues or even physical disabilities that maybe they're in a wheelchair or something like that? Are you guys able to accommodate that?
I believe we were able to accommodate them. As for it's on case by case basis. In our Victoria office, we haven't had anyone with physical disability, but I know that if they're mentally, like developmentally delayed, there are exceptions. And so we'll have to staff the case, of course, with the director. It's on a case by case. I don't like to say no, but we never know. It might be a yes. Yes.
And then one more follow-up question, and I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
So, do you, with maybe some of the older kids that are maybe close to aging out, like 17, and some of the other older ones, do you have like case management services where you kind of are working towards permanent placement?
We try, we don't do placements, but we try to, what we try to do is try to see if there's relatives who will be willing to take them, and try to work with the family, provide them with the tools that they need so that the kid can go back home. We always want them to go back home. We don't want to separate the family. So if we can get the family the help that they need and get them set up with services in the community, but we just we don't like to separate the family. If they can be salvaged, if they can get together and be a family again, at least if they can just stay temporarily, maybe with an aunt or uncle or a host home who can accommodate them for 21 days. I was told by our director that it can be extended, the host home, more than 21 days, but a new intake would need to be completed. So it's like on a case by case, but we try to work with the family, that's the bottom line.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
if there isn't any other questions, and if you don't think of anything right now, that's okay. You could submit them to me, because I think Rosa has another training that she has to do a little later on. So if
Yes.
you think of anything, any kind of questions, she has her contact information right there. Or if you don't get that, you can email me and I'll contact her and get y'all connected. So if you don't think of anything right now, that's okay. We'll get those questions answered for you. All right. Well, thank you so much, Rosa. We appreciate it. This is very helpful. I know we're going to be able to get some referrals out and hopefully
Thank you.
get some
And you
people off
have
the
my
street.
flyers. I did submit some
Yeah.
flyers. You could share those flyers with everybody. And I'll
Okay.
submit a copy of the application for the host home.
Okay, great. And people are probably gonna ask for the PowerPoints. If you send those with, also I'll send those out to people as well. That way you have
Yeah, you
extra
have a copy
information.
of the PowerPoint, the most updated one. I think I had to send it to you prior, so
Oh, okay, great. The updated one. Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for that, Rosa.
thank you.
Yes, ma'am. And up next,
Thank you so much.
we've got Jolynn. She was having a little bit of an issue with connecting to the audio, but let me see if she is available. Let's see. I'm gonna try to. Can you hear us, Jolynn? Rosa, I think on the top corner, you hit the little arrow to stop sharing, and it'll
Okay,
pop off those.
where is the, I'm trying to,
You see where it says leave on the top right-hand corner? There's a little arrow right next to it.
It's an X in there if you're
oh,
sharing.
that, yes, sorry about that.
There's that one
Yes.
too. Let's see.
Let me, I'm trying to. Yes.
Okay. So it looks like we can't hear Jolynn. I was emailing with her earlier, and she was having some issues with her connection. So I think maybe that's what's happening here. Yeah.
Would you like me to go while Angelique, this is Laura?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, go ahead and
Okay.
so I have Laura Sainty. She is with the Texas Department of Housing and Community Affairs, and she has information on some programs that are available for Texas and affordable housing options. So, Laura, whenever you're ready.
Yeah, let me get my PowerPoint up.
Okay.
I don't know why I can't get it up on this computer today.
I think everyone's having this technology is going.
Yeah, I'm
have an
also
issue.
working from a different location,
Oh, yeah, yes.
which is not where I usually work. So just give me a second. There you are. Well, give me a second. Try it again.
Okay. See. Yeah, I'm going to try to fix this connection real quick.
Nope, that's not the right one. I don't know why it's not coming up.
You sent me one a while back. Well, I don't know if you, actually, I don't think that was the one. Let's see. I think this is the one that you sent to me on today. Do you want me to go ahead and put it up on mine?
I think we lost her temporarily. She may be coming back.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Well, here we go. Okay. Well, let's, we'll just go to the next person. I'm sure she'll be back up here shortly. So our next presenter is Dr. Mike Etienne. Are you with us? I don't see him on here. Let's see. Yeah, I have Laura's. Let me save hers because I know she'll be back up in just a moment. So want to make sure that we are ready for her. Very sorry, you guys. I'm at the mercy of technology. So let's see. And I know that we had some questions about Texas rent relief, and as many of us know that they stopped taking applications on the 5th. One of the things that I'm pretty sure she's going to talk about is they're going to be continuing to process the ones that they've got up to that point. But they're and it's going to take a while to get all these processed because there were so many people that applied, and we know that there was a lot out there that needed assistance. And so she'll probably be back up in just a moment. All right, well, let me see if I can't maybe take a quick break and see if she can't pop back up here. Go. Okay. All right, well, let me give them a few minutes to pop back on. Let's take just a quick break and see if we can't get this back up and running. I'm so sorry, you guys. The technology is beyond right now. I can't, let me see if I'll give her just a few more minutes, just a moment.
Angelique, I apologize. I got booted right off the computer.
That's okay. I had us take a quick break, but whenever you're ready, I do have one of your PowerPoints you had sent me earlier today. So if you'd
You
like,
want
I
to
can.
just, yeah,
pop
you
that
want to
up.
just use that? That would be great.
Sure. Let me make
It's one of the
sure.
reasons I sent it to you.
Yeah. Let me-
It's a PDF of it, but you should be able to go page by page.
Okay. I'll pop it up for me. Let me see if I can. Can y'all see that?
No, I just see your presenter slide right now.
Okay. Right.
Oh, here I got it. I
You
got it.
Okay.
Mhm.
Great.
Finally.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm Laura Sainty. I'm with the Texas Department of Housing and Community Affairs, and I'm going to go over several programs that TDHCA has that can help people with different needs. So the various programs I'm going to go over are the Texas Emergency Rent Relief, Mortgage Assistance Program, a Housing Stability Services Program, CAP, which is our utility assistance, Community Service Block Grant, which is tasked with transitioning households out of poverty, Emergency Solutions Grant for those that are at risk or are homeless, Texas Rent Relief, and the Eviction Diversion Program through Texas Rent Relief, which we'll talk about when I get to that. So CDBG CARES Act has two programs, the Texas Emergency Rental Assistance Program and the Mortgage Assistance Program. They're to assist renters or homeowners who've been financially impacted by COVID-19 and to help create housing stability so that we don't have the spread of COVID. Assistance that's available is through various service providers across the state. The rental assistance program and the mortgage assistance program can help up to 6 months of arrears of rent or mortgage, and 5 additional months of either rent or mortgage for current and future months. So eligibility criteria for the rental assistance program is you have to have a renter certificate. Your income needs to be at 80% of the area median income or below. There's a calculator on the website that will show you exactly how to look up the rent limit for your area. The rent is up to 120% of the fair market value or 150% of the small area fair market value. It sounds complicated. Just take a look at that hyperlink to the rent calculator. It'll let you know for your area what the rent limits are. There are funds that cannot pay for an amount. We can't pay for the amount between the 120 and 150. That either needs to be compensated by another source or by the renter themselves. They can come up with that difference, then we can pay the balance. You can get up to 6 months of arrears with the first payment and then 5 future months. These can include what are called reasonable late fees, and Texas has some rent limits within fees that are considered reasonable, which are either 10 or 12% of the monthly rent. You have to have proof of tenancy, which means you need to have a lease, and the lease needs to be current. There are several eligible types of units that include project-based and public housing and government-owned housing. Those are the only ones for this program that are ineligible. If you are renting, whether it is a house or an apartment, you are eligible. But if it is a project-based, public-based, or government-owned, they are ineligible for this particular program. And then your landlord has to sign a certification that they're willing to participate. With the mortgage assistance program, you have to have a homeowner certification signed. Again, it's 80% of the area median income or below for income eligibility. The mortgage rate needs to fall within those same rent fair market values, and there's a mortgage limit calculator that's available through that hyperlink. Again, you're eligible up to 6 months of arrears for the first payment and up to 5 months, including your current and future months of assistance. You have to have proof of residency, and it has to be your primary residency. And you need to include all escrow information for your first mortgage expenses, principal, property taxes, insurance, and any fees. So there's what's called no duplication of benefits. What this basically means is that you will not accept assistance for the same months and amounts from another organization or resource. And if you do, then you will return those funds that are duplicated. So every geographic area is prohibited from being covered by more than one subrecipient. You can't have any overlap of services. Assistance, if it's handled by multiple sources, then the duplicate benefits need to be returned. So how to apply for the rental assistance program? There are a list of 40 cities and counties that are providing the services, and there's a hyperlink to that list. For the mortgage assistance, this is a competitive process handled by various organizations, including nonprofits, and there's a list for those as well. So that's the end for the rental and mortgage assistance through the Community Development Block Grant. There's also a Housing Stability Services called HSS that just launched. This program provides assistance for local communities and nonprofits to help people be stable. If these funds are funded by organizations to provide essential services to unsheltered persons or persons that need assistance for housing. Again, these are funded by the same funding source as the Texas Rent Relief Program. So it's the U.S. Treasury Emergency Rental Assistance first and second funding source. The types of assistance in maintaining housing, which can be through case management, through housing navigators, or counseling related to housing stability, eviction prevention and eviction diversion assistance through mediation, or we also have local services through attorneys or legal aids that can help with eviction proceedings. So types of assistance continued is if for the households who are homeless or at risk of homelessness, they can receive a variety of services, either outreach services, shelter services, community services, or services offered by some permanent supportive housing properties. Eligibility, again, is 80% of the area median income. You have to demonstrate that you're at risk of homelessness or housing instability. That can be indicated by being financially impacted directly or indirectly by the corona pandemic, either by experiencing a reduction in income, increased significant costs, or other financial hardships. So how to apply, determine if your area has a service provider. You can look it up on Help for Texans. Look at emergency and homeless services, enter your city or county, and then look for whoever is the housing stability service provider that's in that list. Often you will need to open up each name on the list to see exactly what they provide. This particular program is getting set up within the system. It may not be available today, but it should be within the next week. So before I go on to there, is there any questions about any of those programs at this point?
I think my question is how long does the process normally take? So if we had like a resident come in and they wanted to apply for these, how long would it take for them to get through the whole process so they could know? Because some of them will go into eviction within a couple months, and I just want to make sure I can give them all the information.
You know, I'm not working in those particular programs. I can tell you that the cycle within the program I've been, which is about an average of about 68 days, 69 days to get through the whole process from putting in the application. These are a little bit, these are more locally provided and they tend to be faster than statewide ones. So sorry, I don't have a really good answer for that. I'll try to get that for you and get that over to Angelique.
Oh, no,
Okay.
that's perfectly fine. The 60 days is great because then I can at least give them, well, it'll take about around 60 days. That way they know, just to give them a heads up. Thank you.
I can tell you that the most important thing with all of these programs is making sure that you look at exactly what is required to be submitted with your application and that those documents are submitted and that they're clear. And they have things like account numbers or names and addresses on them that are easily readable. That is the one thing that I see that holds most people back is documentation that's either not readable or missing.
Okay.
So if they're complete, they tend to be processed faster.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Yep. Okay, the Comprehensive Energy Assistance Program, known as CAP, has been around for quite a while. This program is to help people with their utility needs, either through paying the utility bill, educating clients on how to save energy within their homes, or repairing of existing heating or cooling systems. So eligibility on this program is based on income. And so you will see that 150% of the federal poverty guidelines is the income threshold for here. And this is listed by each household size and the max amount for each household size. Can't be a penny over. So make sure that that's your annual gross income. There are some income sources that are excluded from the income calculation. So please apply and let the different agencies determine whether you're income eligible or not. These income guidelines change around the third week of January every year. They get updated, so know that these can vary from year to year. So priority is given to households who have either what's called high energy burden or high energy consumption. Energy burden means it's 11% of your gross annual income is spent on energy needs. Consumption means that it's more than $1,000 annually for your fuel costs. Now, for those of us who make a really decent income, 1,000 doesn't sound like much, but for somebody living on $15,000 to $18,000 a year, that's a lot. So a household that contains a vulnerable household member is also prioritized, and that's for those that are age 60 or above, if they're disabled or they have a child 5 years of age or younger living in the household. The types of assistance and benefit levels are basically three components. You have a utility payment assistance component, which for non-vulnerable households, they can receive up to 6 months of assistance, not to exceed a certain dollar threshold. For vulnerable households, they can actually receive up to 12 months of assistance within a program year, a calendar year from January to December. So if you apply in January and you're a vulnerable household member, you could possibly get all 12 months of assistance. If you apply in May, then you could get the remaining months of the year if you have a vulnerable household member, as long as it doesn't exceed a certain dollar threshold. Crisis assistance is provided when there is extreme weather conditions. Well, that means it's freezing or it's extremely hot and you're at health risk. It can be provided during disasters or if you have a life-threatening condition and need life-sustaining machinery to help you stay alive. The HVA, that's heating and cooling service or repair, can be done. It cannot exceed $5,000 for labor and materials. And that's if the system is inoperable. It's not working, it's not functioning the way it's supposed to. So the utility assistance and the crisis assistance benefits range from $1,400 to $1,600 per component. And it's a sliding scale based on the percent of poverty for that household. So how to apply is you can find your local CAP provider. There's a master list of community affairs subrecipients that's located at this link that's on the screen here. You can also go to Help for Texans again and put in select utility bill help, put in your city or your county and look for the comprehensive energy assistance provider for your area. You do need to apply, and a lot of these agencies have online applications. The Community Services Block Grant came about in 1964 from Lyndon B. Johnson's War on Poverty. It's about helping people with a hand up. They are able to do services in various domains, and these different indicators on the screen, employment, housing, health, civic engagement, income, and education are the domains. What they are able to provide is based upon a local needs assessment conducted by each agency, and then they prioritize what needs are the most prevalent in their area and how are they going to address those with their resources and their budget. So the program purpose is to eliminate poverty and foster self-sufficiency. Again, I went through sort of the domains that they can help on, and they can also offer case management to help with employment and advocacy. And they can help case manage for employment, providing employment skills or education or job placement, or partnering you with resources they have partnerships with to help do those. Again, there's an income eligibility requirement. And for this particular program during COVID, it got raised from 125%, which was the original guideline for this program, to 200%, which is staying in effect through the end of this year. So you can see based per household what the income thresholds are. Again, this will change around the third week of January. So how to apply is to use either the master list or to go to Help for Texans, look up emergency and homeless services, enter in your city or your county and look for the community service block grant provider. The other thing about CSBG agencies is they tend to know all the different resources in your area, and they can often connect you to who you need help with. So if you go to them, they will typically conduct a needs assessment, and from that needs assessment, from what you indicate, they can help at least provide you with referrals, if not direct assistance. So the Emergency Solutions Grant, known as ESG, helps with various situations for people who are experiencing homelessness or at risk of it. So they do provide services necessary to help people either that are homeless or to regain stability and permanent housing quickly. Additional CARES funds were also granted for street outreach, emergency shelter, and rapid rehousing. So the types of assistance that ESG can provide are engaging those that are living on the streets, improving the number and quality of shelters that are in the area, helping to operate those shelters, providing essential services to shelters, rapid rehousing for individuals or families, or to prevent families and individuals from becoming homeless. And how to apply, once again, is through the Help for Texans resource. Look up emergency and homeless services, enter your city or county, and then look for the local ESG provider. The Texas Rent Relief Program and the Texas Eviction Diversion Program, which are the two programs that I've been working in for the last 9 months since it started. Unfortunately, or fortunately, how you want to look at it, we have received enough applications to expend the almost $2 billion that we received. So at this point, we are no longer accepting applications. If someone has an application that has been submitted within the system, it will be reviewed by a priority. We are prioritizing those that are either sued for eviction or who have a disconnect notice for a utility. And then from there, we're looking at those who applied long ago and working toward the most recent applications. So in line as per application date. That is including any additional funding requests for those who received services early in the program and that now need additional help. The purpose of this program was to provide housing stability due to COVID-19 and to help with rent or utilities. We actually had $1.9 billion for assistance. We have exceeded $1 billion, and we project with all the applications that we have in file that we have exceeded the $9.9 billion remaining. We were able to help with rent back to March of 2020. When the pandemic hit, we can do back rent, current month plus 2 future months, any late fees. The month could not exceed $4,600 per month. Same thing with utilities. We were able to help with electric, gas, propane, water, wastewater, trash removal, and internet if it was included in the lease as a fee. If we get more funds or we have additional funds that get provided to us and we reopen, these criteria will still remain. The Texas Eviction Diversion program was initially allocated $117 million for those already sued for eviction. We continue to prioritize eviction diversion and use the Texas Rent Relief Program funds to help. At hearings, if you are sued for eviction, you have an application in our system and you have a hearing, please make sure you attend that hearing. Just because you're in the system, don't not show up. Show up, let them know that you have a Texas rent relief application. If you've been approved, bring your approval letter. If you've to show what months and amounts you've been approved for. Often this will stay the eviction until the payment comes in. So landlords are prioritized to get the payment. If a landlord does not participate in the program and does not want to participate, we will pay a tenant directly. The tenant is to use that full amount that they receive to pay their landlord. The landlord will then apply those funds to any past due or current rent that's due, and then they can either apply the remaining to a future month or If the tenant paid for those months out of their own financial resources, they can refund it to the tenant, or they can return it to the Texas Rent Relief Program to help others. So if you have been sued for eviction, part of the housing stability services and Texas Rent Relief is being used to provide legal services, either free or low cost to people who are in need. There are 2 links in here to help, and there's a phone number to call. The eligibility for the Texas Rent Relief Program was and will be, if we get additional funds, is that your rental unit needs to be your primary residence in Texas. You have to have an income that is 80% or less of the area median income, and that one or more of your household members either has to have qualified by either being unemployed and trying to qualify for unemployment benefits or receiving it, or experience some other financial hardship. And you need to certify that that you're at risk of being homeless, either with a past due rent notice, or that you would have to move to unsafe or unhealthy living conditions if you weren't assisted because you don't have the income to continue to pay your rent. And then you will certify that you've not received any sort of duplicate assistance, that meaning funds from another entity or resource for the same months or amounts. There are various properties that are eligible for this type of assistance. Any rental unit that's a house, an apartment, or a duplex, as long as the month doesn't exceed $4,600 a month, the rent. If you have affordable housing properties, these are available. We also do project-based and public-based housing units, as long as it's the tenant-paid portion. Less common rental types are manufactured homes or mobile homes and the lot fees, motel, hotel residency if it's on some sort of contractual agreement, student housing where it's not a dormitory, it's actually a rental unit, a rent to own, and a room rental, as long as you have a rental agreement. If you need more help, there are other programs, and here are some short-term and long-term assistance that's available. And you can also sign up for our listserv announcements in order to stay informed of what's available and if future funds become available. So with that, I'll open it up to questions.
Does anyone have any questions for Laura? That was a lot of great information, Laura. I have your PowerPoints. I'm going to send those along with an email shortly after this. And I think that, you know, there's some great links in there that are going to help find some resources for people who are needing it. Because right now I also do housing navigation. That's one big thing that I get a lot of questions on. It's like, where can I help get you know, some assistance paying utilities and rent. And some of the people, and you know, because I work for the aging and disability, you know, a lot of people think they can't call me because they're not a person with a disability or over the age of 60. But you know, and I try to spread, you know, anyone can call me and I can try to help find resources for anybody. So I think this is going to be really helpful, another tool that I can use, and I think maybe a lot of people get a lot of help from this. And I'm going to send this out at the end of by the end of the day. So does anybody have any questions for Laura?
So if you want, I'll do one quick thing here. I'll share
Sure.
Are you seeing the Texas Department of Housing and Community Affairs?
Yes, ma'am.
And right here, if you just type in TDHCA, hit the first link, and you'll find this Help for Texans link. It has a lot of information on here. There are also reduced rent apartments, and there's a vacancy clearinghouse and some other links to those. Home repair and accessibility modifications for those who need that. Emergency rental assistance, that's the eviction diversion program and the Texas rental assistance program that I showed you.
Mhm.
This utility bill payment is for CAP. This emergency mortgage assistance has the TMAP link and the service providers. If you need long-term rent payment help, there's a link here. Weatherization is actually a program that helps, they do an energy audit on your rental unit or your home to see if it is if it's able to maintain your heating and cooling, so to reduce your utility bills, and they can look at services that can help weatherize the unit. Emergency and homeless services link here can get you to your community service block grant, your emergency solutions grant, and that housing stability services program that's new. There's information on tenant help for fair housing. You just click whatever one you want, type in either your city or your county, hit find help, and you'll get a list. So if I was to put in utility bill help and I put in Victoria, it's going to show me the Community Action Committee of Victoria. And if I open that up, you will see that it says Comprehensive Energy Assistance Program Provider, so that you will know that that's the correct one.
Great, thank you so much for that. I think maybe a lot of us may have not known that may not be a resource that some of the agencies online are used to giving, but I'm sure will come up from time to time. So that's great. Thank you so much for showing us that. If if you don't have any questions right now and you can't think of any, you can always submit some later. Or Laura, are you gonna be able to stay with us till the end? I think we got like
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a lot of information, a lot of different programs, and there's a lot of things you can read on the website about each one as well if you need more information too.
Great. Thank you so
you.
much. Yeah. So Dr. Mike Etienne, he has joined us. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Hi.
Welcome. Yes, I can hear you.
Good, good. I'm sorry I'm running behind, but thank you for inviting me to speak today. I think you want me to talk about the affordable housing developments that we have.
Yes. Yeah, we're so
Okay.
excited. There was a few coming in, and I said, well, let's get the man who knows most about it to come and join us and tell us what's going on.
Well, let's see if I can quickly share my screen. Um,
I see it,
you see it?
sir.
You do see it?
Yes, yes, I do.
Okay, great. So again, thank you. I guess Joanna invited me, and I really appreciate it. So I'm Mike Etienne. I'm the assistant city manager for Victoria, and I think a lot of you participated in the comprehensive plan process. Sometimes we call it the 2035 comp plan. So that plan essentially identified the need for more affordable housing in Victoria. And so when I came to the city, I was asked to help lead that effort. So the city has a nonprofit called the Housing Finance Corporation. And that nonprofit was somewhat defunct or dormant. So we have revived the nonprofit to essentially help increase the supply of affordable housing in Victoria. The mission of the nonprofit, which is the Victoria HFC, is to facilitate development of safe, decent sanitary housing for low to moderate income persons, including the elderly. So the nonprofit, the Housing Finance Corporation, has 3 board members and its 3 council members. The chair is Ricky de la Garza, vice chair is Jan Scott, and then Dr. Young. So the nonprofit, the HFC, can issue bonds to help finance the construction of affordable housing. That's the main thing, issue bonds working with the state to finance it. So we currently have 2 projects that we are working on, 2 developments. So the first one you may have heard of is the Enchanted Gardens project development. It's off Ben Jordan and it's under construction. So if you drive on Ben Jordan, it's 4,600 blocks. So it's between Sam Houston and John Stockbauer. So if you go behind the Culligan at Sam Houston, you just go behind the Culligan, and then it's right there. So, this one is located right off Ben Jordan, and it's 168 units. And the developer is Realtex. They are a fairly large developer from Austin. The total development cost of the 168 units is $32 million. And the project is funded by the state, the 4% tax credits, the bond program that the HFC, or the Housing Finance Corporation, issues. So the Finance Corporation, the city nonprofit, issued $21 million in tax-exempt bond to help finance the project. So this is where the project is located. You can see the map. Again, it's right behind the Culligan off Ben Jordan. So the project is under construction, and it will have 8 three-story buildings, garden-style apartments, 1 to 3 bedroom units, granite countertops, and all types of on-site amenities. It will have a dog park. Right now, if you go by, the clubhouse is under construction, with a swimming pool and so forth. This is what it could look like, the apartments. And this is the number of units in terms of income. So it is targeted for families and individuals earning no more than 60% of the area median income, which means that the person or the family of 4 cannot make more than 43,320. So again, 168 units, 48 units will be 1 bedroom, 1 bath, and this is the rent. So the rent is $339 per month to $726, but is based on income. Again, the elderly is also, as long as the elderly can show income like SSI or Social Security, they qualify. So you have 48 one-bedroom units, 72 two-bedrooms, and 48 three-bedrooms, and the rents go from $339 all the way to $1,007 for a 3-bedroom unit. So in terms of where we are with the project and construction timeline, so construction's already begun, so I encourage you to go out and look at it. You can walk the property. And they will start leasing next summer. So next summer they will start leasing. So actually, if you know someone who's looking for affordable housing, who might qualify, you can send me an email with their names and number, and I can put them on the waiting list. Or I can give you the number of the property manager, and she can contact them. But they will start leasing early summer next year, and then construction is supposed to be done October 2022. So that's the Enchanted Gardens project off Ben Jordan. So that one we're excited about. Again, under construction, very affordable, brand new, granite countertops. So we're really proud of that, and a very good location off of Ben Jordan. The second development is called the Odom Street Apartments. And that one is, we are particularly proud because it's on the south side in Silver City. Silver City is a neighborhood that we've been trying to revitalize, and we think this project will help spur the revitalization of Silver City. So this development is proposed to be 324 units, twice as big as the first one I mentioned. 324 units. The developer is NRP. It's a big developer out of San Antonio, and the total development cost for this 324 unit apartment complex is $57 million. So again, the project is financed the same way. The city's Housing Finance Corporation issued the bonds, and also serving as a general partner, and the state is providing tax credits. So most of these affordable housing projects are funded through the state's housing tax credit program, the private activity bonds or the tax exempt bonds issued by the HFC, and loans from that the developer takes. So the Odom Street will have again 324 units, 12 three-story buildings, 1 to 4 bedrooms. So the Odom Street is primarily for families. That's why it goes to 4 bedrooms. It will have, again, a standalone clubhouse, a wrought iron fence around the development. And in fact, both projects is key entry. You have to have a code to get in. So it's not like anybody can go in. It's a gated community. So it's going to be safe. A business center, a 24/7 fitness center. It will have washer and dryer hookups in each unit. So you can see the development. Again, it's next to Dudley Elementary School. So if you know where Dudley is at, so the development will be right next to Dudley. So the superintendent is very happy about this project because it will hopefully bring more students, because you'll have more families. So more families mean hopefully more students at Dudley. Right now, Dudley is losing in terms of student enrollment. So they're seeing a slight decline in student enrollment. So this would bring additional families to the area. This is what the apartments will look like. So this is similar. This is a development that the developer did in Austin, and this is what it will look like, and what the amenities. So in terms of income, again, this is family oriented. So you cannot have more than 50,000. You cannot earn more than 50,540 for a family of 4, which is no more than 70% of Victoria's median family income. So you could see the unit breakdown. So the rent will go from $313 a month for a 1-bedroom to up to $1,300 for a 4-bedroom. Again, it's based on income, and it's open to elderly as well. If an elderly resident has income, again, SSI, Social Security, they can qualify. We are also trying to see if we can reserve some units for public housing residents for project-based vouchers. So if you're a public housing resident or you get a voucher, you know, we probably we'll try to reserve maybe 15 or so units for them, because the goal is to provide quality housing for everyone, have a true mixed income community, you know. So that's the intent. And we want to target first responders as well, school teachers, police officers, to move into these developments. So this is the timeline for this development. Construction if everything goes well, the developer is still going through the stages for financing. If all goes well, and it looks like it will, they will break ground sometime this next summer. So actually, it should be summer 2022. They plan to break ground, not 23. I need to update that. So they will break ground summer 22, so next summer, and then start leasing a year after. And then construction should end 2024. So we're excited about both projects. So in summary, we think these projects will bring new, quality, affordable housing to families who are working and to the elderly. Altogether, you're looking at 492 units with a total development cost of $89 million. So we are looking forward to getting both developments online. The next thing that we want to focus on as far as the city is concerned is really elderly housing. So we are hoping to in the future work with a developer to build an affordable senior housing project. We've been hearing from the community that there's a need for quality and affordable housing for seniors. So that's the next step for us. So so that's the end of my presentation. Let me know if you have any questions.
So you said the Odom Street will be, it's projected to be completed in summer 2024, correct?
Yes.
Okay, great.
So construction is supposed to start next summer, summer 22, and it probably will take 16 to 18 months to complete because it's 324 units. It's a huge
Yeah, it's
development.
pretty big. Yeah, pretty big complex. Well, that is wonderful. I get a lot of calls from people and and I'm glad that you mentioned working on possibly getting a senior uh, complex because I get quite a few calls and we have a few here, but being able to expand that would be wonderful. Being a housing navigator as well, I get a lot of calls from people who are looking for apartment complexes. So you said I could email you with people who want to come in and apply. So you are the property manager. So I will most definitely be contacting to see if we can get some applicants towards that to get them filled up before the the actual start of it before I think it was October of 2022. So I'm pretty sure we can there's quite a few people in town. I've been getting a lot of calls for affordable housing, so I'm going to send them that way as well. Does anybody have any questions for Dr. Etienne? Johanna?
Yes, so you mentioned you wanted to kind of have a diverse income levels at the complexes. And so
Yes.
is each unit required to meet those area medium income requirements, or are there going to be some units just open for regular public citizen? I shouldn't say that, but for people that don't meet those requirements?
In terms of if they make more,
Yes.
no. So so when you apply, they will look at your income, um, and it's based on income. So so every year, the state does an audit to make sure that everyone who lives in the development, they're meeting the income requirements. So you cannot make more than certain income to be in it. If the state were to find out that someone who's making $100,000 is living in the development, the developer can be fined for that. So it's all income driven, in the tenants, they cannot make more than the 60% or 70% of the area median income.
All right.
So,
Okay.
but it's still, it's still low enough where you can have teachers, young police officers living in it. So the goal is to have teachers, police officers, and a public housing resident or someone who works at Walmart all in the same development where it's truly mixed, because the worst thing we could do is to have a development that's all low income. Then you're creating another, quote unquote, another project. That's not what we want. What we want is to have a mixed income where I could be working at a gas station. I'm living next to a teacher. Um, so that's the role models that we want to have in those types of developments. Um, so that's the intent, the mixed income. But but again, it's all income based.
And then we do have a question in the chat. What about credit? Is it based off credit as well? And also, what if somebody becomes evicted due to the loss of their job? I mean, do they have to have, I'm not quite sure I would need to know a little bit more about that question.
But if
It's from the
someone,
chat.
okay, well, if someone comes in and they were working, and then they live in the apartment, they were working, and God forbid they lose their job, and I'm sure they can, the developer, from what they've told us, is that they would work with that person, and hopefully the person will find a job quickly. But they will work with them, maybe give them a couple months grace, they said, until they find another job, so they can pay the rent.
I
So
kind
that's,
of wonder if they're thinking of a rental history. You know how sometimes when you go in and you have to have a good rental history where, you know, you weren't ever evicted from anywhere. And you know what I'm saying? Like if you go into some place, they want to see what your rental history is. And if they show that you've been evicted, but it was due to COVID or you losing your job, will this affect going into Enchanted Gardens or Odom Street Apartments?
yes or no, because it's case by case, from what the property manager has told me. They do look at credit score, but they know that this is affordable housing, so they're not going to be as strict. So it's case by case, you know. So if your credit score is like 600, 650, they might, you know, let you in, because it's affordable housing. We want to get people in housing. And I've told them that too. If the city is going to participate, you can't be kicking people out because their credit score is bad. Because I give them that history myself. I have a brother, who lives in Delaware, and his credit score is, he's got a good job. He's a mailman, but he cannot buy a house because his credit score is 630. But he has a good job. He's a postman. He's a mailman. So so you have to be flexible. If the person has a good job, you can overlook the credit score. So yeah, so it's case by case, and we've told the developer and the property managers to be flexible when it comes to credit score, history, because we want to get people, to get Victorians into a good quality housing.
Great.
Yes.
And it looks like there was another question. It says low-income seniors included in Enchanted Gardens or Odom Street Apartments. I think you said they were, right?
Yes, they were. Their SSI and their Social Security could be used as income.
Great. All right. Well, did anybody else have any other questions?
The diversity of residents, this is from the chat. Regards to the diversity of residents, low-income senior citizens are included in both the Enchanted Gardens and Odom Street, or is it one or the other?
Both.
Did we just answer that and I missed
Yeah.
Yes, both. Yes, that's good. That is both, but that's
All right.
good.
What about
Oh.
disability? So I know that a lot of
Accessibility.
the low incomes, or I shouldn't say a lot, but in the past, we've received comments from the public about disability accessibility with like the thresholds, not being able to get over the threshold in a wheelchair, and just these types of things. Are they going to be some certain units that are specifically modified for
Yes.
those
And the
individuals?
answer is yes, Joanna. I think Odom Street, the one on not Odom, the one on Ben Jordan, will have about 12 units. That's
Great.
all handicap accessible. I think even Braille, you know, if you're blind.
Oh, wonderful.
So I think 12 units, and I think Odom will have about 20 handicap accessible units.
Thank you.
Great. That's wonderful. All right. Does anyone else have any other questions? No. All right. Well, I want to thank you, Dr. Mike Etienne, for your presentation. That's very helpful. I know a lot of people had wondered about this, but you gave us a lot of good information. So if there's any other question.
But I've
Oh, so-
heard that the need right now, I mean, maybe the group can agree, is that we need a housing development for seniors,
Yes,
affordable housing. And I've
absolutely.
also heard too for for veterans. I don't know if that's accurate in terms of the need. Is that accurate, Angelica?
Well, I haven't heard for veterans specifically. I don't get a lot of calls for veterans, which, now that I'm saying that, I think I'll be doing more outreach towards veterans now, because I would like to know, we would like to know. But I do get calls from seniors who they're kind of, I mean, they roundabout say it, but they're kind of scared to live with younger people. When you're 80 years old and maybe your spouse has died and you don't walk that well, when you're in your 20s and 30s, you're a little bit louder, a little more rambunctious, and they're nervous because people will walk around the apartment complex and they don't feel safe. So one of the biggest things that I hear is there a location for me to be where there's other seniors? And I think also with that, seniors are needing, and I did another event about this, with mental health. Seniors, they get reclused a lot. They don't get out as much, whether it be for health reasons or maybe their family members don't live in the same, county or that they do, so they tend to be alone, and it does a lot to a person's mental health when you're just in your home. So I think that maybe with some of these, having another senior facility or a senior location for them to live would be great, and especially if there was like a community rec center in there that would have events, because that would get them out. And that, I believe, and I'm sure I've read that it directly affects their health. When you're able to be around other people, it gives you something to look forward to when there's these events. And then being with other people around your own age, you feel a little safer, a little more comfortable than to say, a 20-year-old is living next to you and they're playing their music loud possibly, or, working at night, in and out. And I've heard that quite a bit. They don't feel as safe in some of these other places. So I think that would be a need, a serious need for us here. So,
Okay, great.
well, does anybody else have any other questions or want to add anything? Somebody was asking for your email. I'm guessing to email you the information, or
Sure.
like the application.
Well, Angelica, you could email the group,
Okay.
my email address and contact. I think you already have it.
I do.
Um, and I can email you the PowerPoint as well,
That'd be great.
and I'll send that to you. And if you do email me, I will be sure to forward it to the property managers for both apartments.
Okay.
But the Odom Street is further out,
Right.
but the Ben Jordan is under construction now, and then we can put the person's name on the waiting list for sure. And if it's a dire need, you can call me directly, and I can maybe pull some strings as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. We really appreciate it. Does anyone else have any other questions? Anything else they want to ask? Okay. All right. Well, thank you again.
Sure.
Let me go ahead and see if, does anybody else have questions for any of the other presenters? No? Okay. Well, I'm trying to email, my information up here. Okay. Well, if no one else has any other questions, if you think of anything later on, definitely send me an email. I'm going to send out all the PowerPoints that I received and the email that you requested. So if you think of anything later, just shoot me an email and I'll get with you as soon as I can. I want to thank all the presenters that presented today: Rosa Cruz, Laura Sainty, and Dr. Mike Etienne. And apologize that we weren't able to get Jolyn Meadows on. She was really trying to get on here and talk about House of Palms, which is an agency that assists women who are pregnant and need a place to stay, and they help with resources. So that is, I believe, through Faith Family Church. Now you can go on to and look for their information there. And her name, again, her name is Jolyn Meadows. And I'm gonna see if I can get her PowerPoint too, just to kind of give a little bit more information to y'all about that. So if you don't have any other questions, I will definitely send those emails out here shortly. And I want to thank you all for presenting. Thank everyone who showed up, and y'all have a wonderful day. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.